I'm Matt Reynolds, and this is my podcast. Alrighty, welcome back to the Trench Talk podcast. Adam Sand joins me again today, and I'm not going to go with the standard intro that we normally do because Adam has been on the podcast before, back in episode 47, one of the most popular episodes of the podcast to date, because we delved into so many things regarding construction and the maintenance space, and particularly using technology in processes. So we're going to get into a bunch more of that stuff today because the world is changing. Adam, how is isolation? How's lockdown? How is coronavirus affecting you up there in Canada at the moment? Can you give us a minute or two on kind of like the state of play and how you as roofers are navigating this predicament?
Yeah, for sure. I personally feel pretty lucky in that we haven't been affected by it a huge amount. All the political and conspiracy crap aside, it just doesn't seem like we've had too much of a problem here, specifically in Alberta, Canada, and even in Ontario, Canada, just north of New York, in the United States. It's still not as bad. So, we yet. It's kind of one of those self-fulfilling prophecies where it's not that bad because we're overreacting a bit here, I think, compared to like how it's going in the States. We have the same lockdown, same rules, same social distancing concerns, same stores shutting down and all that kind of stuff. But we've never had much of an impact, because we've done those things. Who knows? So it can be a little irritating, and it definitely creates some challenges. We have customers that don't call us in for safety concerns. They call us in because a roofer isn't socially distanced enough from the other roofer. That was kind of interesting that we were having that kind of stuff. But people are stuck at home and they're bored and they're angry and they're frustrated and they're lonely and they're lacking income security, and it gives people a reason to kind of get cranky.
Yeah, sure. So construction is not shut down in Canada. I've got that right. You guys can still work as long as you adhere to those.
Roofing is not shut down. And there's certain rules, like you have to have a hand washing station on site. You have to be socially distanced. There is some concerns, right?
Okay, but as long as you're following them, then you're okay to go to work. So it sounds like the situation that you're in is somewhat similar to us here in Australia, because construction maintenance considered essential services. So it's okay to proceed with as long as you follow the right precautions and so on and so forth. So there's been a big push, not just in our space, but in, I suppose, economically, to move as much as you can, right, into the digital space, because we can't get together anymore. So of course we're recording this your evening, my morning here in Australia, over Zoom. But there's been a push to move a lot of our process and that online. How are you doing that? How is it impacting? Are you changing the way that you're doing things? Has it made a big difference in your procedures? How have you seen that in your roofing space at the moment?
So the greatest thing about it is that we were well prepared for this, not in that we knew it was coming or that we kind of predicted it. It's just that we recognize that one of the biggest challenges in roofing is that your estimate process would usually be done in the evening, 5 o'clock after work on, because customers would want to meet with you and ask questions, and you'd want to meet with them. You'd want to make sure both decision makers are home, and you wouldn't want to present an estimate to Tom and not Mary, because then Tom would be trying to reconvey information to Mary, and it would cause this issue where maybe what you do wouldn't be valued. And so if you're trying to be the higher price value contractor that does a good job and wants to get paid for your worth, it can be tough if both decision makers are home, let alone what happens if nobody's home. And so over the years, we've developed a process that included, it used to be an app called BombBomb, and now we've moved over to an app called Loom, mainly because the pricing was about 1/10 of the price of BombBomb. And so, we moved over to Loom so that we could do video walkarounds of our company cam projects, a video walkaround of the roof itself, a video walkthrough of the site project on the ground, and a video walkthrough of the quote. So it used to be that if we wanted to increase our closing ratio on daytime estimates when customers weren't home, other guys are just dropping an estimate in the mailbox or emailing them, and we would do the email as well. But we would also go in the truck, open up Loom on the iPad, and do a screen recording of us flipping through the company cam photos, discussing the process. Same thing with, we'd walk around on the ground and say, we're going to cover that with an air conditioner. This is what we're going to do on your deck. This is what we're going to do to protect your flowers. Then go on the roof and say, this is where I think the leak is coming from, or this is the kind of valley I think we should install here. This is what we should do with the ventilation, that kind of thing. And then we'd go again, also have the screen recording of the estimate and go, yeah, you got 93 bundles, 6 bundles of cap, 14 pieces of drip edge, 6 vents, 10-year workmanship guarantee. We'd go through the quote. So that was really already there in place to make it so that our customers could have all the information they needed to value what we were trying to sell, when we couldn't meet with them on site. And it allowed our salespeople to do estimates from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock. And that way, if they bang out another one at 5:30 and another one at 7:30, they were still closing at 30% during the day, when it used to be 10% or 5% on daytime estimates when they couldn't meet anybody, because you just fall into that price competitive environment. And then you're trying to convince salespeople to always be working in the evening when they're mad because they never get an evening off. Now customers can get all the information they need and have a good experience with us, as well as the salespeople can have a life just by putting those systems in place.
Yep.
The thing that also was really great for us was that, we don't really worry about having an office space, right? We use Slack ridiculously for our internal communication. And so we don't need to be in an office space for training, for correcting things. If somebody asks how to do something, we've got both the app Trainual, and we use it a lot, connecting it with Slack. And, somebody goes, oh, I don't know how to do this. Well, we've got that pre-built into Trainual videos, so people can do all the training for working as a sales rep or working as a production manager, working as a scheduler. They can do all that right within Trainual, so they can see and learn how to do everything. But then also, like, minute by minute, like, hey, can you do this? Or how do I do this? Or you can just quickly record a Loom video on your phone of how to do it in the CRM and shoot that over to them in Slack. We ask questions of each other in Slack. All of our work orders like the purchase order, like packing slips for what's going to be on site. If we need tools and supplies, all that stuff happens in Slack. They need a tool, they take a picture of it, and company cam tag it as tools and supplies, and it sends a message in Slack. So then we just go to the Home Depot, we see everything in the tools and supplies channel. So there was never really an office for managing crews or the production or sales. It's all run inside Slack. And so having that digital office space was just stuff we did to avoid having to pay $5,000 a month for a yard and a shop when we're only running 7 months out of the year because of Canadian weather. So we feel that we were really well positioned for what happened, because to be honest, almost nothing has changed. Really, it's now when we do an in-person estimate, there's an awkward period where we don't get to shake the customer's hand. That's really the only thing that has changed.
Yeah. And of course, customers are expecting that as well, right? So there was that first week or two when you kind of went to someone's house and no one kind of knew exactly what they were meant to do, right? And we knew what we were supposed to
Yeah,
do, but can you really shake it out? There's all that awkward
yeah.
point. So it sounds to me that you've sort of taken the approach that even beyond, I suppose, company manuals for everything, but you've almost got your entire company processes either in video or photo format. Is that like a pretty sort of
Yeah,
accurate thing to say?
basically, if something needs to be done, I just find it that if someone asked me this question today, they're going to ask me this question again. And so I record Loom videos of almost every bit of instruction, so that way I can just re-access that video at any time. You can just search for like what you want to do, and we've got it there. But then we also did get a written manual and turned it into infographics. So there's like a 31-page manual on our entire sales process, from how to talk to a customer on the phone to what order to measure the faces on a roof. And it's like, I basically, I got mad one day because I kept having issues. I was like, what do I have to do? Draw you guys an effing picture? And then I just realized, yeah, I do have to draw an effing picture. So I drew a picture. So I made basically very like graphic comic book looking instruction manual that's like, it literally looks like a comic book, but I can make anybody read it now because it's fun and graphic-y and colorful, and it doesn't look like a written process manual that a doctor would, kind of have or an engineer would write. It's very fun and easy to read. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's just made it so that everything is easier to manage.
So there's so much evolves in this technology space, right? How do you have a system for like vetting new things? Because you've just reeled off maybe, I don't know, five, probably more, maybe 10 different programs that you're using. So how do you decide which program to actually use? Because that's a big part of it, right? There's apps coming out every day, and what do you use and what don't you? Because some are a complete waste of time, and some can, increase profit significantly. So is there a system for going through that, or is it just simple trial and error?
Absolutely. That's a perfect question. Um, the first thing I look for in any app is if any piece of technology is coming up and trying to attract me, and I get targeted for this kind of stuff on Facebook a lot because I think I'm just the early adopter category for sure. Um, and so what I like to do is the first thing is I go to Zapier.com, Zapier, and that's a website that allows you to connect different apps. And the reason I go there is because a lot of people when they made an app, especially a few years ago, a software program or something, it was trying to create an all-in-one solution. And a lot of companies fail miserably at trying to be all-in-one. When you try to be all-in-one for a vast variety of industries, even in the roofing industry, there's so many subsections of it, right? Residential, commercial, re-roof, new construction, storm response, repairs. Like there's just so much, right? And then you have companies that have in-house staff, and then like subcontracted workers, and that will change their processes quite a bit. And so, just in that one thing, roofing, there's so many subsections just in there that trying to create an all-in-one kind of solution is almost impossible.
Yeah.
And so then you have to try and find the right tool for you. And a lot of companies have done a really good job at being the best at one thing, or a couple things, and those I really like a lot better. Is apps that try and focus on being the best at a simple task or a couple tasks. Then the challenge becomes, well, then you want when you want it so that when you do something in this app, something happens over here. So a good example is you build a quote in QuickBooks, right? Well, then you want it to change the customer in the CRM to a quote given. You want it to email them maybe some kind of like, hey, here's some extra information about our products and our process, right? So send them some kind of email. And then you also want to set some kind of task on a calendar for you to follow up with the customer 48 hours, 7 days later, something like that, right?
Yep.
And so Zapier allows apps to talk to each other, but companies have to build those apps to work with Zapier. So any company or any app that's come out that promises the world, the first thing I look for is what triggers and what actions are possible in Zapier. And some have like one or two, and some of them have like 10 actions and 10 triggers. That's one of the first things that I use to qualify is how much automation can I get? How much can I make it so that when this cool thing that this app does doesn't turn into a make work project, or a common failure point for our staff? If it becomes a make work project where every time we do something, it just adds more work, right? Then what's going to happen is it's going to frustrate people, and it doesn't improve the customer experience because it doesn't get done all the time. So then you have to manage it and monitor it, and integrate that into your company, and that can be its own set of stressors. And if you can make it so that when you do this, that becomes a trigger, that becomes an action in another app, then you've got something that's powerful and is going to improve the effectiveness of your company. It's going to improve the experience for your customer, and it's not going to require as much management. So that's kind of your first level of how do you qualify these kinds of things. The second thing is you want to make sure that if you are getting involved with some kind of app, that you want the ability to get out of that app. So do they allow the exporting of data? A lot of apps try and trap you in there, right?
Yes.
A third one is there a minimum user count? A lot of apps will try and trap you into a minimum of 3 or 4 users. So there was a roofing CRM that was very expensive. It didn't allow the exporting easily of data. And when they realized that they were out of date and they were getting crushed, that they forced you to have a minimum of 3 users. So you were spending $225 a month, $75 a user to just keep your data, right? Because you wanted to move to this new one, but they recognized that was happening. So that's a third really big one. And the fourth one that I think really, really helps a lot is that when you're looking at new apps, how long have they been around, right? Because a lot of companies, like software as a service type, like pay per user, $6 a month, $9 a month, $29 a month per user, those kinds of apps, what they do is they go and they say, okay, we want to create this app that does this thing, is widget doer 1000. And you get the Widget Doer 1000, you get some funding, you put 30 grand into it, you make a thing, and it does okay at something. But once you get using the app, you find out that you had customers that you didn't know you were going to get, solutions that you didn't know you were going to be applied to. You're going to get all kinds of feature requests. And a lot of companies, they dump all this money in, hire a bunch of developers, and then they dump all their developers, right? And then they just kind of have like a maintenance team or even nothing. And then what happens is that app never evolves over time. I know this because I made this mistake. I once at one time started a tanning salon appointment booking app, and this was back in like original iPhone days. And then when all the Samsung phones started coming out and they all had different screen sizes, I had dumped all my developers and I didn't have the development team to make the app work on all the different screen sizes. So I ended up having to sell that app to a franchise. That app has gone on to become a very, very wealthy, successful app that does payment processing, gets a percentage of every transaction. So they're making boatloads of cash, but I didn't have the development infrastructure to do that. And a lot of other apps run into the same problem.
Yeah, the development cost in the early days is unbelievable, right? Because you do have to keep adding features, particularly when you have that, I suppose, that minimum viable product. You've got to keep adding things to keep, I guess, surprising users, right? Because in some ways we're expecting it. You know, we use Instagram, we use Facebook all day, every day, and we keep finding these new things. You're kind of in that mindset where you're always looking for stuff. So if it's not the best process initially, which nothing ever is, and there's not new stuff coming, which takes money, then you find yourself in the place where you kind of you can't get new users, you can't keep the ones that you've got, and that's where, well, a lot of these tech companies fall over, right? Because they just don't have the financial backing to keep pushing through that I suppose really critical period.
Yeah, and you actually bring up a good point about the expectations. Something that I think a lot of construction business owners don't realize is that our customers expect this of us, right? Every roofing
Yeah,
company became a media company that also did roofing 4 or 5 years ago. Gary Vaynerchuk would talk about, oh, you're not a dentist, you're a media company who does
yeah,
dental work, because it talked about content and video, and that stuff's still relevant. But that message has pretty much permeated the market, love it or like it or hate it. Most of the construction industry has recognized that there's some guy who got rich because he did videos, right? I'm that guy in the roofing space.
yes,
Um, and there's somebody like that in many of the other spaces, right? Is about content creation. Now, the thing that's going to be talked about 4 or 5 years from now, right? Or maybe 3 years or even less, is that you're a media company and also a tech company that does roofing, because our customers are now using Uber so that they can literally take the last sip of their drink of wine because they know their Uber is going to be here in 2 minutes. Then they're going to go to the airport where they can check in, right, on the airport on their app. Then they're going to fly to another state, right? And they're going to go book an Airbnb the minute they get there and get the code to the door. And then when they're hungry, they're going to order DoorDash or Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats, and they're going to have food brought to them. And they're going to know when the driver's coming so they can start walking down to the apartment foyer of their Airbnb, right, to pay with their credit card and leave the guy a 5-star review. Then when you want to get your house done, you got a roofer coming over with papers in triplicate, right? Carbon copy
yeah.
paper, right? Who
And
sends you,
that's right. And why can't I get my roofer out this afternoon? Like, how hard can it be?
yeah,
It's just driving
yeah,
over.
right. And it's so people have now have this expectation, and the winners in the next big group of winners that really disrupt and take out some of the big old dogs in the industries will be the ones who elevate the process to be more in line with everything that everybody else is expecting. If they expect that if they can get overnight shipping of a bed in a box that unrolls and inflates itself somehow using the miracles of modern science, they expect that they should be able to get a roofer to be able to keep in communication with them as to when their roof's getting done. Just because it rained 3 days doesn't mean that you should be a week late letting them know when their roof's getting done. So processes and systems and technology and being able to document things with photos and videos so you don't screw up and you can give the proper instructions to your subs, all these little things are there because, I mean, people expect it, right? People expect to, they want to know, they want a picture and to know exactly what kind of car and the license plate of the Uber that's showing up.
Yeah.
When you book an estimate, there should be a picture or a video going out of the estimator saying, hi, I'm Michael and I'm the one coming to do your roof. I like baseball and I grew up in Kentucky. You know, they're like, this is the level that people are going for now.
Yeah, that's right. And you can look into them and you can see sort of the type of work they're doing, and you can be sure that they're coming with the right expertise and all of these things that we just naturally think we should know now before we
Mhm.
engage with somebody. So it's have you noticed that look, the construction and maintenance home services space um, traditionally isn't a great adopter in terms of speed to a lot of this stuff. So, have you seen that this COVID-19 and coronavirus situation has really sort of grabbed the attention of companies and sort of moved their focus to looking at some of these things to improve their processes? I guess the short way of saying is the coronavirus being the point where they've gone, hang on a second, we actually do need to move this way.
I think it's been a huge catalyst because you're seeing, like in the roofing space, a small company is under a million, a medium company is like 1 to 5, 1 to 10, and then big companies are 10 million to 150 million. You're seeing 25, $50 million companies that have succeeded on knocking on doors in massive hailstorms in Florida, Texas, Colorado, etc. And they've gone and they can't knock on doors because that's a hate crime now, and you can't
Yeah.
if your process involves folders on walls and offices and receptionists that work at big giant desktop computers, and papers that need to be passed around and signed and done in triplicate. They're in crisis. They literally have been run at a complete standstill, and now they're trying to adopt all these systems. They don't know really how they work. It's an experiment. It's a trial basis. So even a company with a fantastic reputation is probably going to be the year of 1-star reviews for them, because they're now, they're now coming in after the fact trying to do it. And I think this will be a catalyst for a lot of companies changing their processes and a lot of companies being successful. It'll be like the companies that thought that the internet was stupid and maybe it was good for like downloading music, but I don't need to have my roofing company on the internet, right? I don't need a website. And then now, I mean, can you imagine starting a roofing company and not having a website today? Right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not going to
even,
happen.
at one point in time, it was considered stupid. Why would you need a website?
Yep.
Right? And what happens is the people who aren't the early adopters, like construction, they are blessed and cursed. They're cursed in that they are that services and experts usually come to them later, but they're blessed in the fact that everything happens everywhere else first. If you just go look at what car dealerships and
Yeah.
tech companies and realtors and barber shops and yoga studios, if you just go look at what they're all doing, generally, exactly what's coming to the construction business 3, 4 years down the pipe, because they kind of have to adapt sooner, right?
Absolutely. And you've got to also understand how long some of this stuff does take, because it's not an overnight solution, is it? You can't just go, I'm moving to tech tomorrow. I'm assuming that to maybe introduce a lot of the systems that you've done over a period of time, what would that take an average? I mean, let's just call it a 10 to 15 person sort of company. If they went from
Mhm.
completely paper to completely digital, how long would that take, that transformation, in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, I helped a company in Hawaii do that once.
Okay.
And that's kind of a more recent example. And I went out there, and it was essentially um, first we had to build it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that took like 30 days. And then once it was built, then we had to fly out there and train them on it. And that took like 25 days of training.
Yes.
And then I've now called the period afterwards 66 days of hell, because that's where it's trying to make people adopt to the new system, right?
Yes.
Because it's kind of like trying to operate on a football team while they're trying to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not in a
Absolutely.
seasonal or not in a seasonal circumstance, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it does take probably 90 days, right, to move over to a fully paperless system and have it be adopted and being used. And that's if you have all hands on deck. There's two key things that happen as well. One, you're going to have to fire some people. Some people are just going to say, well, that's not the way we do it. I don't like the new way. Like, they're just going to be your biggest enemy. And then you're also going to have to hire someone. And it's a full-time hire, a hire that I mean, most of the people that I've talked to after doing interviews and stuff like this, I say you need an integrator, right? If you read the book Traction, there's a key personnel that you should have. It's an integrator, and that's a person who basically is the direct line to God in the company. The person who comes up with all the harebrained schemes is usually going to be the CEO type leader person. but quite often they've got a very high level view of the business and they're not rolling up their sleeves and getting into it at all times. So if you've got a manager working underneath you, so if you're a CEO with like a sales manager and a production manager, you can never integrate something down to the salespeople. And if you're running a good business, your salespeople and your sales managers and your production managers, right, or whoever your managers are, they're usually going to be pretty busy as it is. If you ask them, hey, are you sitting, spending most of the day just sitting on your ass, not doing anything? No, they're usually trying to run the company for you,
Yeah.
and do their job. So then there's this other position that you need, and it's an integrator, and it's a person that you say, hey, now from here on forever forth until further notice, we're doing this now. We're always making sure we have 22 pictures in company cam of these 22 things, or we want to have this checklist filled out for safety in the morning, right? Or whatever it is, right? Well, then you need to have a way to measure and manage that, because what gets measured gets managed. But then you have to have a person whose sole responsibility in the company is to be integrating all the new processes, all the new systems, so that there's a person who just is your babysitter, right? And your integrator, your person who's responsible for saying, hey, we did it. And by the way, this is a flaw in the system because not every job has this, or not everything has that. And so they can't actually succeed at this because your standards are too strict. Or there's actually this workaround that I've caught them cheating on, right? Like, oh, everybody has to clock in every day. Well, then you see that the foreman is clocking the whole team in at 8:05, and the people who are there at 7:45 don't get credit for it. Or he's just editing the time to 8 o'clock, and you can tell because every day his clock in is at 00 seconds. And so you know that he's manually editing his time. Your integrator figures that kind of stuff out and says, hey, this is the way that they're cheating the system. But your sales manager is too busy doing his job to do it. Your production manager is too busy doing their job to do it. The girl that's running the phones, you're paying her $9 or $13 an hour. She's not incentivized to do it. Any company who's looking to make a major transition or to continue to evolve should have an integrator position. It's not a very highly paid position. It's not like $100,000 a year job, but it's usually a young person who's organized and would like to have that like feeling of importance. Who's they're good communicators and they know how to teach and coach without offending or pissing anybody off, and they want to be a part of making all these new changes, because it's going to take someone to champion it forward. And a lot of times that those bigger companies are too busy. Even those smaller companies, you're wearing 5 hats. The best thing you could hire as a first or second hire is maybe getting an integrator, someone to help you kind of champion those new ideas.
Because the really difficult part is the cultural element, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
putting a good system in, first of all, designing the right system and then putting it in. Then there's obviously training it. Then there's becoming good at actually using it, right? And there's different
Yeah.
levels that are built within there. I'm not sure if are you a basketball fan? Are you watching The Last Dance as it sort of gets released at the moment?
I watched a little bit of the Michael Jordan one, but I didn't get
Yeah.
a chance to listen to to watch all of it.
Okay, so they went through a period where and I was watching it with my wife last night, and we were sort of relating a few of the things to business, and these guys took over 12 months to implement a new offense, which ultimately went a long way to them becoming the team that they did and all that sort of stuff. But it took 12 months, and we sort of had a bit of a chat after the episode, and these are the very, very, very best people in the world who had the great idea. It was obviously going to work, but it still took them 12 months of practice to actually perfect it. And when you sort of think of it like that, it is a lengthy process to get good at it, right? Because doing something and being really good at it are two completely different things.
Mm-hmm. And if you can get to the point of being really good at it, if it's hard, the rest of your competition isn't doing it. And
That's right. Yeah.
a lot of times, especially in construction, the challenge is that you're selling a commodity that people can buy, that all your competition can buy at the same place. It's not like you're handcrafting a toilet from porcelain by yourself in a kiln out back. I mean, you're just walking to the hardware store and buying it. Maybe you save 10-15% because you're a contractor, right? And then in many cases, you're hiring the same subs that your competition is hiring. Like in the roofing industry, we're all buying we don't sub, we have in-house workers, but a lot of my competition has they buy shingles from the same place. They're buying the same shingles that everybody else can buy, and they're hiring the same crews that everybody else can buy, and yet they think there's something that makes them special, right?
Yeah.
And
That's
if
yeah,
it's if
exactly.
it, in those cases, what does make you special is your processes and your systems and how you're going to use that to hold people accountable to a higher degree. Because in the case of subcontractors, they know who their people are, like their bot, like the companies, their generals are that are going to be super sticky, and they know who the ones are that are pretty lazy and never check on anything they do, right? They know, and so they're going to know who they can pull the wool over, and they know who they got to be tight with, right? And that really comes down to you as a business owner focusing on it. And I love that you turned that show into a business. And I think that more business owners need to watch things like that and see that they can learn a lot from what, like I said, realtors and whatnot. They teach you what's coming down the pipe in 3 or 4 years. We can learn so much from other industries, right? I mean, that bomb tool I mentioned, I took that from realtors. The marketing strategies that I use, I took that from yoga studios and dentists and stuff like that, like the Facebook ad strategy that I use. I've taken so much from other industries that are so far ahead of us and then just adapt them to my industry and then come out looking like a genius. And I'm just a guy that just recognized that a lot of the stuff that you think will work for your business has been done before.
Absolutely, yeah. And the window's definitely closing, right? One of the advantages that we have is that we are slow to, to move this way, but that window is certainly closing, because guys like you, as an example, who are getting further and further ahead, the gap just widens and widens and widens, and you get to that point where, without significant time and significant money, you can never catch up. So, I did want to ask about your Facebook strategy and what you're doing, because you're well known for operating in that space and improving companies' leads and all that's related to Facebook. So I guess it's been, I'm not sure exactly, maybe 12 months it had been since we last chatted, but
Yeah.
Facebook is a fast moving platform. They're always making changes. So we've moved from the days of boosting posts and sort of putting up a picture with a phone number, call me now, to
Hmm.
having like complete systems and strategies that sit behind the advertising. So can you go into briefly the changes and what you're doing at the moment to really keep pulling those leads through? Because strategies sort of get old quickly in these, digital spaces, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And as funny as it is, people still don't get it, right? There's a couple precursors that I think everybody needs to know. Is that a lot of people in the construction industry have this impression that Facebook ads don't work or Facebook ads guys are scammers, right? But then they also heard somewhere sometime that Facebook ads are awesome, and they hear about guys like me and my roofing company and how great they are. So then they go on Facebook and they see other roofers advertising in their news feed, and so they go, "Oh, well, maybe my Facebook ad guy was a scammer, and the guy who's running this guy's ads are better, so I need to find a different guy," because they got these two facts in their head.
Yeah,
One, Facebook ads work. Two, my competition is running an ad, so therefore it must be working for them.
we've all
But
been there.
yeah, and the mistake that happens is that people don't make the right stuff for the platform. The easiest way for me to make anybody understand this has always been when the radio was the primary form of content consumption for people, families would sit around and listen to the radio. President comes on, talk about stuff, they go and listen on the radio. But when TV came out, right, and tire manufacturers wanted to run TV ads, first you would get, say, I don't know, Michelin, and they would run a TV ad and they'd put a picture of a tire and then just run the radio ad behind it,
Yep.
right? And then let's say Firestone wants to run an ad. Well, they say, hey, let's take a Michelin tire and a Firestone tire, put them on two cars, have them race down a track, video record it, have them hit the brakes. Let's have the Michelin tire run over the cardboard family in a bloody fiery car crash, and let's have the Firestone tire stop before the family, and obviously it's a happy ending. Well, it doesn't take an advertising genius to know which one of those two ads would work, right?
Yep.
Obviously, the one that where the video was used to craft an advertisement for the platform was more successful. And yet,
Yes.
even though it doesn't take an advertising genius to recognize that, we're on Facebook running the same ads that we would do in traditional media. The banner or the picture of a roof that says free estimates, call us today. That is nothing other than a billboard on the side of the road. But the difference is in Facebook, you're not stuck in traffic. You can scroll past it. The commercial of the like drone shot and the tacky construction guy with the brand new yellow construction hat, those videos, those TV commercial like ads, they don't work because it's not a TV commercial. They can just scroll past. So like
Just a
Facebook as a
quick,
platform.
if I just jump in there, if you're using stock images, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Would that be a good rule to
Mhm.
start with?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the stock images don't work on Facebook ads,
Yeah.
at
Sorry,
least
go
if
on.
you, unless they're hyper creative. But
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like if you're just running like a little, like I seen one the other day where it was a girl's Like it, like, it was like a slender legs up in the air, like going like that, and then like an arm, like a girl's arm, and you just kind of saw a leg and an arm, and you weren't really sure. It caught your attention, and it said, and then I've seen like 3 companies now using that same video, and it says like blank doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like that's a stock video. That's
Yep.
pretty creative, but again, does that add any value to your company? Does it make you any, like, does it, I mean, all you're really saying is, does it's creative because it's an arm and it's a leg and it's a girl's leg, so it's going to catch the attention of some people, and
Yep.
roofing doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, but that's not really the advertisement that you want to say. Now you're just competing on price right up front.
Yep.
But I mean, but for the most part, no, stock imagery is not going to work. Facebook's a place where we go to connect with our friends and family. Grandparents get to see pictures of their grandkids. You can go and see what crazy stuff our political leaders have said lately, all these kinds of things. So that's the kind of platform it is, right? Is where we connect and we share and we get to know people and you get an inside look, right? We like it because it's better than TV. We can see what's truly going on. And so that's the first thing, is you got to create content for the platform. That being said, different now, as in like in this current point in time, is that I've tripled my Facebook ad spend, because it used to be, over the course of years, in 2014, it would cost you $3 to reach 1,000 people. Right? And I used to joke you couldn't climb on top of a building, print off business cards, and throw business cards off the side of a building in a crowded street, and you couldn't get 1,000 business cards to hit people on the street for $3, right?
Yep.
And then over time that creeped up 4 or 5, and then lately it's been sitting around $10 to $12 per 1,000 people reached on Facebook. So if you want to put a video in front of them, it costs you $12 to show up in 1,000 people's news feeds, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the thing with Facebook is you have to look at it as an inventory, right? Let's say you, right, Matt, you open up your Facebook 10 times a day and you scroll 2 feet down the news feed. Well, you've just created 20 linear feet of potential advertising inventory space, right?
Yes.
Well, now people are opening up their Facebooks 30 times a day and they're scrolling 10 feet. So there's 300 linear feet of potential advertising space. So what do we know? Supply and demand. The inventory of potential advertising space on Facebook is super high. And so now, therefore, the cost has been driven way down. So now like a month and a half ago, we were again seeing $3 and $4 cost per 1,000 impressions. That's creeped back up to 5 or 6, but it's still half of what it was a year ago. And so right now people are on Facebook more, and they're also thirsty for content that's not really related to COVID-19.
Yep.
Right? So when you both know the right type of content to produce and the fact that it's cheaper, now is a great time to get in. And because of how much better Facebook targeting has become and how much more information you can get on how your ads are performing, like it used to be that you would get a relevance score. Now they've broken the relevance amalgamation into 3 different sections. So you can actually quality check your ads a lot better so that you can make better ones.
Yeah, I must admit, I've noticed that what we struggled with in Australia is we don't have the population that the US or parts of Canada do. So when you try and get really location specific with some of the ads, you just didn't have the amount of people. So you had to expand your coverage size to get the minimum audience, which means you're sort of advertising a little bit maybe outside the ideal space. But what I've noticed in the last, really only in the last couple of months, is that they're now recognizing for whatever reason, more people in those areas Facebook are. So we're sort of getting to the point where you can really target within like 2 and 5 kilometer, or whatever that translates to, 3 and 4 miles.
We're metric here too.
Yeah. Okay. So you can actually be specific in those areas, which is a big change that I've noticed, which just goes back to directly the success and relevance of your ads, right? Because they're actually hitting the right people.
Well, yeah. And I mean, when we're talking about relevance of ads, like if people want some like easy wins to do right now, it's like, I guess one easy win is occupation-based ads, right? Talking right, like, with all the essential services right now, I kind of put out a funny video a while back because people were, concerned about how all these people were losing their jobs. I said, gee, wouldn't it be nice if there was like a place where we could put an advertisement that, we could only show the advertisement to people who had a job, right? that we just like, imagine if there was a list somewhere of all the essential services and we could just like tell this platform that we only want to show ads to the people of those essential services. Wouldn't that be handy? Because it's
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
Of
say,
course.
attention nurses, we're here for you. We have special pricing on now for all of you because we have a hero discount for anybody who's an essential service member. Hey, truckers, we have a special discount for you because you're an essential service and we appreciate what you do. Hey, delivery drivers, we have a special price. I mean, like you can make
Yeah.
9 ads of 9 different occupations and basically saying the same thing with a camera that you hold in your hand and do that. And that's an easy win. And we were generating $20 leads with a client we took on in their first week. And I like, that's almost never happens. I usually say for the first month, I'm going to get 2 leads for $1,500 a pop. And we managed to pull that off. The other thing that is an easy win is you're talking about local, right? Well, you talked about relevance, right? So what's more relevant than if you live on Brown Street or if you live in the Glastonbury neighborhood, well, then record a video talking about how, yeah, we're doing a new roof in the Glastonbury neighborhood. And we're just, we love the homes around here and we'd love to get more work in the area. And we actually have a special price on now. If you give us a call in the next week, we have a neighborhood deal going on because it costs us less money to drive around to 10 estimates in the same area. So we're going to pass those savings on to you. Give us a call now. And then you run that ad 365 days a year. Who cares? It's just now everybody in the Glastonbury neighborhood thinks you're down the road. Well, let's go get a quote right now, right?
Yeah.
You record 20 videos like that and you just target all the different neighborhoods. And yeah, you might only get the ad to show to 12 people a day, but I mean, over the course of a year, that's highly, highly, highly effective because people in Glastonbury are going to be seeing that ad and going, huh, they're in my area, right?
Yeah, and you can so I mean, like you said, hey nurses, we're in Glastonbury or wherever. That ad just it penetrates quickly, right? It's recognized quickly because there's two things that most ads don't do. I suppose the bigger brands can't do that. Like you're not going to get that from a Coca-Cola or a Nike or anything like that, right? Because
Mhm.
they're covering a much broader marketplace, so it just doesn't make sense for them to do that. But if you can and you're in that space, then yeah, it's some great advice. You can talk directly to the people that you want to do work for, which is amazing, really.
Yeah. And if you think, and if any of the listeners think that they're like late to the game, I mean, I'm still talking to people every day. I mean, there's still 92% of companies don't have a Facebook pixel on their website. And I've been preaching that one
Yeah,
24 hours a day for years. And then many of them, when it comes to doing video, they're still doing the wrong type of content. They're still afraid. A culture of video creation is the most important skill that you can have in your company today. Over the course of the last year and a bit, one of the number one things that I get, because if I get interviewed on a podcast like this, some people say, "Hey, what could I do?" One of the biggest things I've done is just fly out to certain companies and help them record video because they need to know how to spot the opportunity for a video and they need to know what to say. And if I was to sum up what I charge $1,000 a day to go teach people is when you're looking at a video, you need 3 things in the first 30 seconds. You need an instant clarity headline. Why should people stick around and watch that video? Because if you start your video with, "Hi, I'm Matt from Matt's Plumbing, and I'm here to tell you a little bit more about a job we're on today," people scroll past it right away,
yes,
right? So you need an instant clarity headline. Shingles don't matter, the prep does. That's your instant clarity headline. People, you got to catch their attention, right? A
hmm,
lot of times you can look at weight loss. You can lose weight and still eat cookies. You know what I mean? Those like thought reversal, kind of almost clickbaity headlines really help, right?
yes,
Then you need to declare the problem, right? In
mhm,
words that the customer would go, "Oh, I have that problem." So if you talk about fancy jargon and thing parts and pieces and components that customers don't understand, right? Then you're going to lose them because they're going to go, "I don't get it." Right? And then you need to present the solution in such a way that customers know, at least know, have a general understanding of what it is, and then the skeptics can stick around, and then you just spend 2 minutes elaborating. That's $1,000 a day video coaching. I come down and say, "Okay, look at this. What do you see on this roof? Do you think more customers need to know?" Okay. So how could we sum that up in like 5, 6 words? Well, customers remove and replace. Most roofers never remove and replace the flashing or remove and replace. If more customers knew those words, it would put me out of business, right? I'm a roof repair guy and no homeowners ever get this piece of metal behind their chimney replaced by the roofers. And if they did, it would probably make me get 80% less calls a week repairing roofs. See, and then you elaborate on how the flashing comes apart and how it goes together and why it's important and what it does and how the water comes down it. But that's really what it is. Remove and replace. If more customers knew those words, it would put me out of business. Most roofers don't actually remove and replace the flashing or even discuss it when they do it. Like, that's it, right? And then so if you can instant clarity headline, declare the problem, present the solution 30 seconds, and don't say, hi, I'm John from John's Roofing, your videos will immediately go to a higher performance level. And when you're trying to measure the effectiveness of your videos and your Facebook ads, if you have a Facebook ad guy right now, you say, hey, when I do these videos you tell me to do, or hey, we put out a video or a commercial or whatever, what is my reach number for the last 7 days? And how many people watched 50% of the video? That's two metrics that are pre-built into Facebook. Sucky is 0.5% to 1%. So 1,000 people were exposed or reached, and 1 or 10 people watched the video. It's terrible. Stop spending money on that ad, right? Yep. A goal is 10%, right? Excellent is 25%, right? And right now we're seeing good videos get watched twice. So you're seeing a reach of 800 and a 50% video view of 961. I had that call like 3 hours ago, and we're seeing that nowadays. Nowadays, people are actually watching videos multiple times if you record the right kind of video content, again, for the platform, right? Understanding what Facebook's about.
In particular, I suppose, with that, the flashing or the metal on the chimney that you just described then, I guess if someone's in the right suburb, it's targeted to them, you even get the occupation right, they're having their roof replaced, then all of a sudden it's like, hang on a second, I really need to know this so I don't get caught, right? So that's where you're going to go back and, well, they're going to go back and watch the video multiple times, which is awesome an ad watched twice. That's crazy when there's so much, so many other things
so
on
much
offer in your
content
feed.
to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, if you know certain neighborhoods, if you're in your construction trade, if you really know what you're talking about, certain neighborhoods have certain problems. I know that all the Wedgwood cedar roofs don't last because they're all put directly on plywood and they rot. I know that all the houses in Terwilliger are super steep, super close together, and nobody put downspout extensions on. And the roofs are always, the quotes are, nobody ever puts downspout extensions on, so water runs across the roofs, and now they have valleys and vents that are trashed because they're undervented and don't have good downspout extensions put on. I know there's certain neighborhoods what the problems are. So when you say like Terwilliger homeowners Terwilliger homeowners suffer from this every day, or Terwilliger roofs don't last and this is why, there's your instant clarity headline. Most people don't put a downpipe extension on, and then you have the shingles rotting in one place. The solution is we put a $10 pipe on, and the fact that your builder basically cheaped out on $20 should leave you frustrated. Here's what we could do, and this is what we would do, and this is how we do it, and this is the kind of stuff we buy, and this is the kind of materials we use, and we believe in this product name, right? That's the elaboration. But $1,000 a day video coaching is instant clarity headline, declare the problem, present the solution. And if you can include in your problem, or in your instant clarity headline, a neighborhood that is afflicted with that, then it's great, because then there's all kinds of business efficiency and economies of scale that happens. If you're doing 12 houses, upgrading their ventilation and putting downspout extensions in one neighborhood, well, then all of a sudden now your cost per sale, your cost per your operating costs, like your labor costs, you aren't paying to drive to 13 different neighborhoods a week. You can operate in one neighborhood and buy the same products at scale. And there's all kinds of stuff that comes from treating your marketing and your sales as something that you can provide feedback and improvements to your operations side. That's like the higher level thinking that you kind of start getting to with some time and experience. But first, you just got to be willing to get in front of a camera and get a culture of video creation. And it all starts with asking yourself on every estimate, or having your salespeople ask themselves on every estimate, what do you wish more customers knew before hiring a roofing contractor? And all of a sudden your eyes will start to see things. And then you just have to learn how to script a video without having me there holding the camera. And that's instant clarity headline, declare the problem, present a solution, elaborate.
And you can get around a lot of the production issues, and because I've seen obviously a lot of the videos that you do, and you're on video all the time, and I follow you in your various channels and that sort of thing. So it's not high production a lot of the time. You're just picking up the camera and you're just pressing record and just going for it, and you're walking around business. You're walking around building sites rather, and explaining things as you go, and so that takes I suppose the daunting part of needing to get someone to edit all these things and all that sort of stuff. You're basically editing on the go, and they seem to be the best videos, right?
Yeah, err on the side of on making too many crappy videos. Like people say, well, how do I make good videos?
Okay.
Right? And I was like, practice and experience. How do I get practice and experience? We'll be making bad videos,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like you're like, go back to that statistic, right? If you make 100 videos, you'll be lucky to, or sorry, 100. If you expose a video to 1,000 people, you'll be lucky. You'll be doing amazing if 100 people see it and
Yeah,
only see half of it, half of a 2-minute video. So if you show a video to 1,000 people and 100 people watch 2 minutes of it and it wasn't that great, well, guess what? It didn't. That cost you $12. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. It's
Right? And
crazy.
right now it's costing you 6. For $6, you can learn, you can see, like we watched a video of a client today. We're just sitting there and saying, okay, you had exposed this video to 2,300 people, right? And they watched, they like you had 1,800 people watch it for 10 seconds. You had 1,800 people watch it for 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden you had this massive drop off and only 500 people watched it for 15 seconds. What happened here? Right. And so Facebook gives you that information, but the only way you can get that information is if you get in the game. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah,
actually start making some videos. And then I've seen other customers who go through all this effort of recording and producing a video to try and make a great, the perfect like hail commercial, because hail, they got a notification that hail was coming tonight. So then they go and spend $220 on some emergency video guy that's going to edit and snip together all this stuff. And then the hail doesn't even hit the city they're in. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you know what I mean? Or you
yeah.
could just make
That's
5 videos and test it, and then next hailstorm, you'll know what works and what doesn't work. And I mean, I love it because I mean, we can provide insight into who we are as a company. We can anytime there's an opportunity. I'm not saying they're going, oh, we don't have our lav mic and our DSLR camera, and like, oh, we need to script this out. It's like, no, just make a lot of videos, dummy. Like, just make a lot of them. Just
yeah.
suck at
Keep going and
video
going.
for
Yeah,
like 2-3 months, because I mean, our ability now, I mean, we turn on the Facebook Live now and people ask for estimates in the live. Like I can literally go on a roof, start talking about, like the
oh
other day,
wow.
it was a step-by-step guide to stressing out your roofer was a video I did the other day. I go do one estimate every 4 or 5 days. And this one happened to be one where they did the landscaping, they redid their windows, they redid their window fascia, they did their they put glass handrails on their deck, like they did all this stuff
Yeah.
to their house, and now they want a roof done. And roofs are like, can get pretty messy and a lot of debris flying around. And I'm like, this is exactly how you stress out a roofer. Well, the customer watched it inside the house and immediately understood why they should hire a good roofer, because now I basically recorded a video while I was on their estimate. So they said yes to the roof when I got down because they watched a video of me just being candid on Facebook. But then also someone else requested a quote, and they said, we were thinking about getting our deck done, because this customer had like a beautiful vinyl deck with like the nice metal handrails to the glass. And I'm like, now I got to cover these handrails, protect the glass, cover the deck, and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, we're if they're like, do we get a deal if we don't do that stuff first? And I was like, yep. And then they requested an estimate right there in the Facebook Live. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What
that's
did that lead
crazy.
cost me? Absolutely nothing. But it just comes from being consistent.
Yeah, 100%. And I see you've got the company cam T-shirt on. So I told Nick from Barnes Plumbing that I'd pass it on. That he listened to the last podcast that we do, and I think you guys actually connected at some point. But
Yeah, he did. He messaged me and said he was using it and loved it.
yeah, yeah. So he wanted me to pass that on, and still is using it. So I'll give him a quick plug there. barnesplumbing.com.au,
Yeah.
I think is their website there, and do a lot of stuff on social, following the lead of the likes of you and others. I just want to ask about a couple of tools. The main one being uh, reviews. I notice on your website now you're using Bird Eye, which has come up a few times now for me. You said it was the year of the 1-star review, so we've got to think about these things. And then there's obviously tech tools out there like Bird Eye that help you manage it. So how do you think about reviews? What are you doing with reviews? And is Bird Eye indeed is it beneficial to you and Sargent's
Mhm.
Roofing?
So yeah, Bird Eye for Starters Roofing has been awesome, and we've used it for other people too.
Okay.
And a big thing is that when you're like, Facebook reviews will be so important. And the nice thing about Bird Eye is, again, it integrates with Zapier. So when a estimate once we convert an estimate to an invoice, and then the invoice is marked as paid, or by credit card or however, as soon as it's marked as paid, it goes in our CRM, tells our CRM that now the job is done and paid for, right? And then it automatically sends the trigger, right, is the invoice paid in
Mm.
QuickBooks in the CRM, an action as it moves the buyer's journey status from install scheduled to install completed and paid. And then it sends a review request from Bird Eye. And so then now we know the customer is going to get an SMS or like a text and email saying, hey, thanks so much for the business. This is our little journey that we've been on. Sends them a little picture of me and Joe on vacation holding up our Sargeants roofing jackets and says, thanks for helping us build this little dream of ours, and it asks them for a review, right? And customers don't, customers always want to give a review, and but sometimes life happens. You know what I mean? You leave, dog barks, baby cries, boom, they forgot about it. And so they also get a reminder from Bird Eye as well, and you can set up a number of different reviews and stuff, or reminders and stuff. And there's a lot of different tools out there, right, that can do it. But I just like that one because it was so easy to integrate with Zapier, right? Uh, and I think reviews are more important than ever, right? And if you are making sure, like, the times you screw up, and if you're a company that's in the process of evolving and moving over to these new systems and dealing with this COVID, people are stressful and angry and all these kinds of things. The bad reviews, they're going to show up automatically. So you want to make sure you're getting enough 5 stars to smush them down, because you can't delete Google reviews. And we have the most Google reviews of anybody in our city by a fact, like triple the next highest. And it's not just because of Bird Eye, but Bird Eye allowed our happy customers to get enough reminders and enough, to say that, that's right, we should give Sargent's Roofing a review.
Yes.
And so that's been a key thing. But then also, if you're having a troubling experience with a customer where maybe you're like, this customer's been really picky, we actually have a button inside our CRM that says don't send review requests, so that when the invoice is paid, if we know that the process has just been a little bit challenging, and it's very rare. I think I've clicked that button 4 times in 3 years, but sometimes you just know that this customer is just, you can't please everybody. And you're just like, what, we don't need to add the extra insult to injury by sending them a request for a review when we know we screwed up, or we know they just don't like us. And right now, people are more stressed out than ever. They're the kinds of people that, like, we had a customer get mad at us the other day because she thought her house was really, really big, and or that her job would be really, really expensive. And we looked at it on Google Maps, and my one of my estimators was looking at it. There was a big house there, and she said, no, that's not mine, mine's the blue one. He's like, oh, you're talking about the dinky one right here? And he said the word dinky, which,
Yeah.
not the smartest choice of words. And
Yeah.
but at any other time, it probably would have just like not been a thing. And it's just the word he uses for small. You know what I mean? If he
Yeah.
said, oh, it's a small blue one, it maybe wouldn't have been offensive. But his,
Yes.
verb for that, or word for that, was dinky, and it just blew up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so people right now are a little bit hypersensitive, and for good reason. They don't know if the world's coming to an end, if their family's going to die. It's probably a pretty stressful time. So it's important that we make sure the people who are happy get the reminder, because bad reviews always show up, but the good ones, sometimes the happiest customers, just the dog barks, the baby cries, and they forget.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's an automated way of just making sure you do get reviews, right? That's basically
Mhm.
what Bird Eye does. Can I ask what level you use? Because there's a number of different levels I saw when I was checking it out the other day. Do you use the most comprehensive level, or?
You know what? I don't use the most comprehensive level. I just use I know, yeah, there is some higher level stuff. I
Yeah.
think I use one in the middle. I think it was like, oh
Okay.
gosh, I think like $2,300 for the year or something like that. I wouldn't remember.
Yeah, I think that would be the middle level. There
Yeah.
was a cheaper option as well. So, because some of this stuff, particularly as you're going transferring to digital, all of these costs start to add up, right? Which can be a
Oh yeah.
concern early on because you haven't actually seen the benefit of a lot of this stuff. You get a few hundred reviews down the track, and you get people that buy from you just based on your reviews, which we've certainly had that experience in some of our companies which are location based. People buying from overseas before they move to the country, just based on the reviews. So they are so important. They do mean so much. And if you just only have 1 or 2 reviews, you're never going to,
Yeah. Your
feel or
mom, your
see
mom and
see
your
the
sister, grandma.
Yeah, you're never going to see the benefit of it, right? So you've really got to get in the game to do it. So Adam, I want to be respectful of your time because we're going to have a short chat today, but we've chatted for we've got talking and we've kept going, which is awesome. So is there anything that you wanted to add or you wanted to cover before we sort of bring this to a close?
Mm. I think the biggest, I think the best thing that I could say to people who, because I think that like if I go back and kind of take count of what we've talked about,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
We've talked about how exciting the potential is with Facebook ads, right? We've talked about how you need to have something that separates you from the competition and integrity, customer service. We believe in doing the right thing for our customers, but actually something that differentiates you, usually based around your processes and your systems, right? If you look at these tools that I've talked about, like Bird Eye and Company Cam and Zapier and all this kind of stuff, and Loom, and you want to start talking about integrations and stuff, I think you really need to write out your process, right? Uh, I think that the biggest thing is you need to sit down and actually write out your process. I did it with the roofing industry. I made this like little type form that people filled out and answered a bunch, like it was like 90 questions long, and it helped like create a process manual, and it that really helped a lot of people. But I think it's really good if you just sit down with a yellow pen and a pad of paper, or talk to somebody who knows about this kind of stuff, and actually document what the ideal customer journey is, what you'd like to see the perfect customer journey look like from start to finish with detail, and actually spend like a week locked up. And right now is the perfect time. If you're in isolation, lock yourself in a room and document your process from lead to paid invoice and a 5-star Google review. And if you document that out, it'll really help with shopping for tools, knowing how to budget for things, understanding what each step costs you, and all this kind of stuff. I think that that's the most important thing, is to write out your process. And it's something for me. I love it. I mean, following a process and documenting process, that's something I love doing. So I know it's easier for me, but I see a lot of people struggle with that, is that they don't know what to pick, because at the end of the day, they don't even know what their ideal customer journey looks like.
Yeah, and you start shopping for tools before you know what you want, right? And I've just got,
Exactly.
just give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can reach this here. I'm going to show you an example. One tick. I know I had this here because I just pulled it out yesterday, but a process map can look something. This is when I first started the podcast. This is just a whole bunch of arrows on a big bit of paper about, how the podcast kind of like gets
Yeah.
put out, right? So, and there's probably, I don't know, there must be 60, 70, maybe 100 boxes on that bit of paper, which is just my scribble. And after a while, it does become automatic. But you can go back to these things and address them, right, and really see holes and see faster ways of doing things and tools that can replace 2 and 3 processes and automate them. So it's it's a very valuable thing to get down on paper so you can audit exactly what you're doing yourself.
Yeah, and I that's it's such an important. It's funny that you say that, because I mean, it's like we have that exact same process, like where you map it out and you write it all out. And I mean, if you don't have it, if you have it kind of mapped out so that you have some yeses and some nos, and if this happens, then that happens, and what you do, right? It allows you to think about it in terms of how a lot of digital marketers do. They all think about
Yes.
things in terms of funnels, right? Well, if
Yes.
you download this thing, then you get this email. And then if they get this email and they click this link, then they get shown that video on Facebook. And then if they see that video and they watch half of it, then they get put in this custom audience. And then that's what makes digital marketers so effective at selling dog toys and information products and video courses and all these things that we end up buying on the internet. If we as construction companies recognize that this is how people like to shop for things, that they like to be nurtured, that they like to be warmed up over time, that they like a business to invest a little bit in showing them who they are, then you can do this with a construction company and be ridiculously effective. And it will frustrate the large companies in your market, because they're looking at it going, what do you mean I got to do all this stuff? I just want to put out 40 bus benches, hire 20 door knockers, put up a radio ad and a full page color ad on the yellow pages, and be done, right? But you can't buy the top spot of Google. You just can't. Google doesn't owe you anything. Even if you have $1 million, you can't buy your way to the top of Google every time in 2 months. You just can't, because Google knows that you could quickly be a flash in the pan business. And even if you have $1 million, you could still lose your $1 million, go broke. And then their users found the wrong person on Google. You have to invest in your brand and your online piece of real estate and creating the kind of content that's going to deliver value and improve the value of your company. But we also live in a world now where roofing websites or plumbing websites or whatever company websites are an investment. They're a piece of real estate that generates business ongoing forever.
And there's some companies out there now that, not that I suggest that anyone goes out and does it straight away, but 6 figures and plus invested in some of these websites now is not uncommon anymore. I'm
Mhm.
finding out. So there's a lot of money, there's a lot of time going into this space. So if I can trouble you for just one more question, Adam, the thing that I
Mhm.
get asked all the time is that if I go onto a website, I go into Sargeants Roofing and I have a bit of a look around, even if I'm not from the area, and then I exit, why is the next ad in my Facebook feed from you guys? How does that
Oh,
work?
I'm blown away that that question is still being asked, but I have the curse of knowledge. So essentially,
Sorry for
the
asking in advance stupid
oh,
questions.
no, 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 not at all. I just really feel like I'm not doing my job if I haven't told everybody about this yet. But it's, and I think that a lot more, I think a lot more people would benefit from knowing it, because then they'd understand that, Facebook didn't make them vote for Trump in the States. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's basically, it's the pixel, right? The Facebook pixel is like a little security camera on your website that allows you to essentially get access to every person who ever hits it. And so if you go and visit sargentsroofing.com and then you notice that you're seeing my videos in Facebook, it's because on on my Facebook ad platform, I've said, if somebody goes to my website, I don't need to know who they are, but you do, Facebook. So since you know who they are, can you put them on a list called website visitors in the last 3 days? And then I want to set up what's called a reach campaign. And there's like all different kinds of campaigns that you can do on Facebook. But a reach campaign basically says that I want to reach as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So I say, I want to set up a reach campaign that I want, when they open their Facebook next, I want to be the first ad that shows up, right? And you pay a little bit more money for a reach campaign. Maybe you'll spend $20 per thousand people reached, but you'll show up first, right?
Yeah.
And all you've done now is you don't get to know who they are. It's just Facebook does, because you put Facebook's security camera on your website. And so Facebook just takes your instruction and uses what they know about about the users and what you as a visitor on my website are. And if you're a web developer from India and you just went to my website so that you could find something wrong with it and then send me an email saying, hey, this thing on your website is broken, we can fix it, we run SEO for your company, I don't want to waste my ad spend on that. Right.
Yes.
But if you're a homeowner who lives in Edmonton, Alberta, right, and you were recently on the website for GAF shingles and Owens Corning shingles, and you were just on my website for 2 minutes, well, you're a high intent user. So I
Yes.
want to make sure that you get shown my ad. And there's ways to modify things in Facebook to do that. And it's incredibly powerful, because it allows you to be recent, relevant, and provide all kinds of value, because you know what kind of content people are looking for, based on what they do on your website. Right? If they were just on your gutters section or your siding section or your metal roofing section, well, don't show them a video for asphalt shingles if they're just in the metal roofing section. Show them videos about metal roofing if they're in the metal roofing section. So there's a lot of ways to use it. And if that's what frustrates large companies, is because a person knows how to use the Facebook platform well, combined with a client, a roofing company or other contracting business that has a culture of video creation and focuses on more videos that deliver value and just bring customers on the inside track of the knowledge. Those two things are very, very formidable.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's the knowing how to use that platform is just so valuable, and it's always changing and it's always getting better. And you've got to keep on top of it, right? You've got to stay in that world and keep
Mhm.
just going back and forth. You take a couple of months out, you go back in, and the
Well,
entire
and
platform can be
that's what
different.
blows me away about a lot of contractors is like, if their truck breaks, they go to a mechanic to get it fixed. If their air guns break or something like that, they're going to go to a small engine mechanic and get that fixed. They might do some maintenance themselves, right? If their accounting needs to be done, they go to an accountant. But then, because of Facebook as a platform that they use every day, and they go on Facebook and they watch videos on Facebook, for some reason they always want to dive in and try and do their Facebook ads themselves. And it just seems to me like there's a lot better things for you to be doing as a business owner, right? You wouldn't choose to, like, the CEO of a $10 million company doesn't get underneath his truck and change the oil. They just don't. It's not that they don't know how or they're too good for it. It's just, it's not the best valuable use of their time,
Absolutely.
right? And yet you should know enough to be dangerous so you don't get ripped off and you know it works, but know how to hire, don't know how to do, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think is
No,
what a lot more people need to do.
yeah, sure. Sound advice, right? And if you're not in it every day and you're not an expert, then you're probably not going to get expert results, right? Like just to start.
Exactly.
Your
Exactly.
Facebook advertising company is probably not going to jump up and throw a roof on, you know, with
Mhm.
better efficiency than what you can.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
reverse applies, right? All right,
Yeah.
Adam. So how do people contact you? Where do they go? What's the best way to I
Well,
suppose get in contact and start to maybe converse a little bit on these social platforms and that as well.
it's just essentially if you Google roofingbusinesspartner.com and you click on that, believe me, I'll find you. Yeah, you just but yeah, they can go there, roofingbusinesspartner.com, and then I will have that pixel on there. And I will be then showing up in your news feed. Or you can just hit me up on Facebook, Adam Sand, and I'd love to hear from people. Right. But roofingbusinesspartner.com is a great, easy place to find me. And then when your dog barks and your baby cries, I'll still be following you around.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. All right, mate. Thank you so much again for your time. I could really talk to you for hours and hours about all of this stuff because it changes so often and there's so much more to learn. So, thank you so much for carving out a little bit of your evening, and I'll chat to you again soon.
It was a blast. Thank you so much. I hope everybody gets a lot of value and enjoys the post.
I'm sure they will. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Take care.